Hi there, I'm Jennifer from my-colorado-kitchen.com. Today we're going to be making some sourdough cranberry orange scones. We're going to start by doing 2 cups of flour. This is going to be all-purpose flour. I like to use the organic, unbleached all-purpose flour. These scones are going to be mixed up and then fermented overnight. And then in the morning, you'll be able to just pop them right into the oven. The next thing we're going to add is a 1/2 cup of sugar. I love to use the organic cane sugar. We're then gonna add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I like to use the one with no added aluminum. Then the last of these dry ingredients is going to be a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to use just my teaspoon here to mix it up, as I don't want to dirty another dish. We'll stir that all together. Now we need to grate our butter to add into our bowl. So we're going to take a 1/2 cup of butter. So we want our butter to be cold. I'm going to use a cheese grater and we're going to grate that butter. For butter, I really like to use this grass-fed butter. I get this one at Costco. It just tastes so much better than non-grass-fed butter. Any of the brands that you can find are fantastic. You do want to make sure your butter is cold. It does not need to be frozen, but it definitely should be cold as it will make it easier to grate. I love this cheese grater. I'll link it in the description below for you. It can be done flat or you can fold it in half so that you could grate cheese as it stands up, either way. Once our butter is grated, we just need to mix it together with our hands. We're looking to make some pea-sized shapes with our butter and our flour being mixed together. You're going to want to do this pretty gently. If you want more from scratch recipes, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I post 2 new recipes each week. So it's just going to look like that when you're all mixed up. The next thing that we're going to add are our cranberries. We need 1 cup of cranberries. I like to buy them frozen as I think it's just 1, easier to find, and then 2, I think it helps keep the dough colder when we're fermenting in the fridge. You can use fresh cranberries as well. That will work great. Just please don't use dried cranberries. The dried cranberries are going to make this a lot drier. The fresh cranberries are really the star of this show. You really want that tart flavor that comes from using the fresh cranberries. And feel free to do an overflowing cup. It doesn't just have to be exactly 1 cup. So we're gonna add those cranberries. Then we're going to take an orange. We need to zest this orange and we're going to juice the orange. So I'm gonna take my zester. Love this zester. I will link it in the description below as well. And we're just going to zest our orange. You want to make sure you do not get too much of the white part of the orange, as that makes it bitter. For the full principal recipe details, head over to my website at my-colorado-kitchen.com. You'll get that recipe detail printout there, and then you can come back here, watch this video with those instructions, and then make these scones. That full recipe link is in the description below as well. And once we've got that zested, we're just gonna cut this orange in half. We're going to squeeze the juice right into our bowl. Then we're gonna take a fork and we're just going to mix this up. Now we're gonna add our wet ingredients. So we need a 1/2 cup of our sourdough starter. This can certainly be discard starter or it can be active starter, whatever you have on hand. Mine currently is discard starter. If you're new to sourdough, make sure you check out my free sourdough starter guide that I will link in the description below, along with my video on that of how to make a starter and how to maintain a starter. The next thing we need is 1/4 cup of cream. And lastly, we need 1 egg. Then we're going to use a fork. We're just gonna start mixing that all together. I'll be honest, mixing this is not the easiest thing, but I promise you it will come together and it's going to make the most moist, beautiful, juicy scones you've ever had. Once you feel like you've gone about as far as you can with that fork, then you're going to just use your hands and you're going to kind of squeeze as it comes together to get all of the wet ingredients incorporated with those dry ingredients. Takes a little bit of elbow grease, and you're going to want to try to not pop those cranberries, as you want to keep them whole because they will most likely pop in the oven, and you want those juicy bits incorporated in your scone. If you love scones and you want another flavor of scone, check out my blueberry lemon scones. I'll link it in the description below. Once we've got that all mixed together, I'm gonna clear my workstation, and then I'm going to grab some parchment paper, and I'm going to tear off a decently big piece because we're going to wrap this in parchment paper. Once we have our parchment paper laid out, we're going to put the scone dough right on it. I want to kind of get it flattened. And then we're going to wrap this up. We're going to place it right in the fridge. It needs to ferment 8 to 12 hours or more if needed, depending on your schedule. And then you can bake these right after that. I like to mix these up at night, then I pop them in the fridge. Then in the morning, they are ready to go and bake so we can have a nice, yummy breakfast. So we're gonna take these cranberry orange scone dough, we're gonna put that in the fridge. While I put that dough that we just made in the fridge, I grabbed the dough that I made last night so that we could bake these scones together. So now I'm gonna grab my pan, and then we will cut these scones and we are going to get them in the oven. So you're going to wanna unwrap your scone dough. I'm just gonna use my bench scraper. I'm gonna cut it into 8 pieces, just like a pizza, and we're going to put those right on my pan here. I do love this pan. It is a Pampered Chef pan. I will link it in the description below. It does not need any parchment paper on it. It is a non-stick pan, but without any of the PUFAs or the forever chemicals that you find in a lot of other non-stick pans. It is actually a baking stone, so I'll link that below. You're just gonna place these scones on your pan. You do wanna make sure that your oven is preheated to 425 degrees. You wanna leave a little space in between the scones as they will rise. Once they're on our pan, we're gonna put them in our preheated oven, and they're gonna bake for 15 to 18 minutes. While those are baking, it gives you time to maybe whip up some scrambled eggs to go with it, but most importantly, make that orange glaze. So we're going to start by taking some powdered sugar. We're gonna do 1 to 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. You do not have to be super exact on this. Then we're gonna add the juice of an orange. We're gonna squeeze that juice in. You will need to watch this glaze, play with the consistency of it. You don't want it too runny, you don't want it too thick. If you feel like it is too runny, then add more powdered sugar. If you feel like it's too thick and you ran out of all of your orange juice, then add some cream. We want this to be decently thin, as it's easier to drizzle on top of our scones. You do want to stir it pretty well to make sure you get all of those powdered sugar clumps incorporated together. And mine seems just a tad runny, so I'm gonna add just a little bit more powdered sugar. I really like to use organic powdered sugar whenever possible. I have found it the cheapest on Thrive Market, and I'll put my link to Thrive Market below. Perfect, there we go. Maybe needs a little less lumps in it, but that's a great consistency. All right, I'm gonna clean up my workstation, and we're gonna wait for those scones to finish cooking, and we'll bring them out. All right, it's been about that 18 minutes, so let's get these out of the oven. Oh wow, these look so good. You do wanna make sure that they are done, so you wanna have those brown edges on the tops. These are a very moist scone, which is what I love about them, but you do wanna make sure that they are cooked all the way through, because we don't want a doughy scone, we just want a moist scone. So just look for those browned edges on the top and you'll be good to go. You can put that glaze on right away, or you can wait a few minutes, 5-10 minutes, whatever you wanna do. It depends on how thick you like that glaze, or if you want it to more melt all over and just meld into those scones. Either way is perfect. They're going to taste amazing. And now my favorite part, we need to try one. So good. That tart cranberry and then that sweet glaze. Oh, so perfect with these scones. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for making sourdough cranberry scones with me. If you like this recipe, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss a recipe. I post 2 new ones each week. And then check out my website at my-colorado-kitchen.com. You get the full printable recipe details there. From my kitchen to yours, happy cooking!